What's going on, FitFam? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm walking you through how much you need to be eating based on where you are right now and where it is that you want to be. And I'm also going to show you everything that I'm eating in a day, how much I'm eating to achieve my personal goals. So you're going to know exactly which macros, meaning protein, fats, and carbs, you should be eating to take you from where you are now to the physique that you want to have. So let's get into it. So in order to know how much you are supposed to eat for your goals, you have to first figure out how much are you eating right now. And the reason why is because your metabolism adapts to the amount of food that you are consistently eating. And then in order to really maximize muscle gain and fat loss, what we're going to do is slowly bring your calories up over time, assuming you are not eating as much as you should be right now, which is most likely the case because most women are chronically under eating, whether or not they mean to, whether they're intentionally thinking they shouldn't eat that much because they've always been lied to by diet culture, or maybe they're just not in the habit of really feeding themselves, which is very common. So we can't just suddenly jump to eating way more calories than you are right now. We have to condition your body bit by bit to get to that point. So to figure out how much you're currently eating, the best way to do that is to log everything that you eat in a day as meticulously as you can in a calorie tracking app like MyFitnessPal. And if you don't know how to use MyFitnessPal, I have a video here which will show you exactly how to properly track, weigh, measure your food so you know how much you're eating. Now, ideally, you should track your intake for at least 7 days. So that way you can really see what does a week in your life actually look like in terms of how much you're eating. Because maybe one day you eat 1,400 calories and then another day you're eating like 2,000 calories. It could be all over the place. So what we want to find is the weekly average. So log everything that you eat for 7 days, and then you're going to divide that grand total of all the day's calories by 7 to figure out the weekly average. Now, if you're too impatient to wait an entire week to figure it out, then just do your best to fill in a few days of more or less usually what you eat. And that's gonna still give you pretty much where your metabolism is at right now. All right, so now that you know how much you're usually averaging, for this example, we're gonna say that you're eating about 1,500 calories a day. Now, what's really important to do is not just focus on calories, but turn those calories into macro targets, your macronutrients, protein, carbs, fats. The reason why macros are more important to focus on than just calories is because all calories actually are macros. All calories come from protein, carbs, fats, or some combination of 2 or 3. So instead of just focusing on calories coming from any old place, you want to focus on getting the right amount of each of the 3 macros, because each of the 3 plays a very different role in the way that you look. So getting that lean definition and also your internal health. So increasing the speed of your metabolism, having your hormones function properly so that you actually can lose fat, build muscle, and stay that way. So a lot of the time when you actually look at the macros that you're eating, you're usually gonna see that you aren't really eating that much protein, your fat intake is probably kind of high, and your carbs are maybe a little bit moderate, but probably even still kind of low. This is the norm. This is how most people are eating because this is kind of just the way food is in our culture. And this is why you don't have the results you want. So what we need to do is we definitely need to focus on bringing up that protein. Why is protein so important? Because protein is the building block of muscle. Muscle is what you want to be toned and have that definition and stay that way. You cannot build muscle if you're not giving your body what it needs to build that muscle mass. Protein is also the most satiating of the 3 macros, so it's going to keep you fullest for the longest amount of time. So the fuller you can be on the amount of food that you're eating, the more fat you're going to be able to lose. And lastly, protein also helps you burn more calories. As much as 40% of all the calories you consume from protein actually gets burnt off in the digestion process. And of course, protein is putting more muscle on your body, and the more muscle you have, the faster your metabolism becomes because it costs your body a lot of calories every day to maintain that muscle mass. Now, the role of fats is really twofold. It regulates your hormonal function. So you need fats in order for everything in your inner body to be working correctly, which is very important. But also fats is really the thing that makes our food taste good. Let's face it. If we weren't having cheese, oil, peanut butter, avocado in our food, it really wouldn't taste that great. You know, just rice, just chicken on its own, it's not gonna taste very good. It's the fats that really bring the food to life. Now, the thing is that 1 gram of fat is equivalent to 9 calories, whereas 1 gram of protein and carbs is equivalent to 4 calories. So fats are much more dense in total calories than carbs and protein are. Fats is also the least satiating of the 3 macros, and obviously since it tastes so good and it's the most dense in calories, it's also the easiest to overeat your total calories. So while you need to make sure you're not under eating your fats, because if you eat too little, it's actually going to negatively impact your hormones, it's also the one you want to be the most mindful of to not be going way over. And like I said, when most people first look at their macros, how they're eating in a day, they're usually going to see that they're having a lot of fat, not that much protein, and not really enough carbs. Okay, so the role of carbs is to give your body energy. Honestly, this happens with my clients all the time. When you start eating more good quality carbs, you're gonna be so much more energized throughout your day, because carbs are your body's #1 source of quick access fuel. Carbs get stored in your muscles as glycogen. So when you go in the gym and you're pushing yourself to lift heavy weight so that you can build that sexy muscle in the first place and speed up your metabolism, your body is going to draw on the carbohydrates as fuel to get you through that workout. So this is why it is so important to make sure that you are eating plenty of good quality carbs so that you're going to have enough fuel to actually build muscle in the first place and have energy throughout the day. So this is why we need all 3 macros. It does not make any sense to cut out one group or demonize it. They are all so important to your inner health and the outer physique that you desire. Okay, so now that you know the roles, let's calculate how much you need. So protein intake ideally should pretty much always be about 1 gram per pound of body weight. However, if you weigh more than, let's say, 150, 160 pounds, I think that it starts to become too much. You really don't need to be eating more than 150 to 160 grams of protein a day as a woman. And the reason why is because protein is actually only required for your lean body mass, not for your fat mass. So you can take your total body weight and multiply it by 0.7 or even 0.8 up to 1 for 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. I'm currently 138 pounds and I'm eating 140 grams of protein a day, so pretty close to 1 gram per pound of body weight. You'll find too, especially if you're not really used to eating that much protein, it might be quite difficult for you to get enough in the beginning. So this is really something to pay attention to, making sure that you have a staple protein source at every single meal. Even if it's a protein powder in the morning, like you're gonna see with the oats I have protein powder and Greek yogurt in that oatmeal to help me get my protein up. Maybe it's eggs, maybe it's some cheese in those eggs, which you're gonna see in my second meal. And then of course, some sort of actual staple protein like chicken, turkey, beef. It can also be tofu, tempeh, seitan if you're more plant-based. All right, so for the sake of this example, we're saying your average calorie intake is 1,500 calories a day, and we're gonna say that you weigh 130 pounds. So that means we're just gonna say 1 gram per pound of body weight, which is 130 grams of protein a day. Okay, so for your fat intake, generally speaking, you want it to be somewhere between 25 to 30% of your total calories. You definitely don't want to go any lower than 25% because that is too low and that's going to negatively impact your hormonal function, which we do not want. And you actually could go a little bit higher than 30%, even up to as much as 40%, if you really are somebody who prefers eating more foods from fats than from carbs. This is where it's going to come down to personal preference. You're going to have to kind of figure out which way of eating you prefer and which way of eating gives you more energy. Because the only thing is you don't want to cut into your carb intake too much because that can negatively impact your performance in the gym, which means you're not going to be able to build as much muscle and get that metabolism up. All right, so let's say you're doing 25% of your intake from fats. So what you're going to do is take your total daily calories, which is 1,500, multiply that by 0.25 for 25%. That's going to give you 375, meaning 375 calories from fats. So 1 gram of fat is equivalent to 9 calories. So I'm going to divide it by 9, and then I get 41.66. So you can just round that up to 42 grams from fat. Okay, so now how many carbs you should have is simply whatever calories are left over after you figured out how many calories are going to protein and to fats. So what you're going to do is you're going to add the calorie totals from your protein and fat targets. So we're doing 42 grams of fat, so multiply that by 9 because 1 gram of fat is 9 calories. That's 378 calories. And then 130 grams of protein multiplied by 4 because 1 gram of protein is equal to 4 calories. That's 520 calories from protein. So I'm going to add that to 378 calories from fat, and I get 898 calories total. So now we're going to take your total total daily calories, which is 1,500, minus 898, which are the calories from protein and fats, and we're left over with 602 calories. So this is the amount of calories that's going to go towards carbs. So 1 gram of carbohydrate is 4 calories. So we're going to divide 602 by 4, and we get 150.5. So you can just say 150 grams from carbohydrates. All right, so those are your starting macros: 130 grams of protein, 150 grams of carbs, and 42 grams of fats. Okay, so now what's really important is you want to make sure that you are consistently eating more food over time, because you want to gradually increase the speed of your metabolism, which will happen, remember, because your metabolism will adapt to the amount of food that you are consistently eating. So what you're going to do is you're going to track your food very meticulously, log everything in MyFitnessPal, and make sure that you are hitting your macros. It's okay to be within about 10 grams for your protein and carbs. So if your protein target is 130 grams, you can be anywhere from 120 to 140. If your carb target is 150, like it is here, you can be anywhere from 140 to 160 grams of carbs. But your fat, you only want to be 5 grams plus or minus. And this is because your fats are 9 calories per gram, whereas your carbs and protein are only 4 calories per gram. So your fat target is 42 grams. So that means you can be anywhere from 37 grams to 47 grams. Now, you're going to hit those targets 6 days out of the week. Make sure, obviously, that you're training, that you're going in the gym and lifting weights. Try to be active, getting enough steps throughout the day, at least 6,000 a day, even better if you can be more like 8,000. Drinking lots of water, managing your stress, and obviously getting good quality sleep. On your 7th day, that is when you are allowed to have your cheat meal, or your enjoyment meal, as I like to call it. So your 7th day is where you're going to go eat something delicious, not worry about macros, not worry about tracking it. So that day is not going to be perfect macros. But the other 6 days of the week, you want to make sure that you're really hitting those macro targets. And then what you're going to do is you're slowly going to start increasing, especially your carbs, but also a little bit your fats. So you're going to start increasing by about 50 to 100 calories per week. So I put the majority of those calories towards carbs, and maybe just a few grams, maybe even just 1, 2, 3 grams towards fats. Now, I'd only increase it about 50 calories if you didn't really feel like you were that much hungrier. But if you tracked all those macros and you actually felt like you were much hungrier throughout the week, then I would increase it by another 100 calories. Because this is what's going to happen. As you start consistently eating enough food, and you're training, and you're getting good sleep, and you're hydrated, your metabolism is going to start to pick up, and you're going to start to become hungrier. So that's how you're going to know your body is asking you to give it more fuel, and that's how you know it's safe to slowly start increasing food and not be afraid of gaining fat. It's actually going to help you lose more fat and gain more muscle. So you pretty much do this all the way until you get to 2,000 calories a day minimum, and really it could be even higher than that. So definitely just start there, start actually hitting your macros and slowly working your way up to at least 2,000 calories a day. And then after that, you would have the option to go into a fat loss phase, into a cut where you're gonna really hyper focus on losing fat. But that's a little bit too much for me to get into in this video. If you would like to hear about it though, let me know in the comments, and I'll definitely make a video on how to cut after reversing your calories up. Okay, so what I did with my fitness coach is I reversed my calories all the way up to 2,500 a day. And I got really lean, really defined while I was doing that. I saw such good results, which just goes to show my metabolism was working like crazy. So now we have been cutting, where we're in a focused fat loss phase for about the last 7-8 weeks. And I have seen really good results during this time. But the reason I've been able to see such good results in this cut is because I had such a successful reverse, meaning I brought my calories up so high that my metabolism was thriving, my hormones were happy, everything was working really well, I was able to gain muscle, which is why I'm now able to really effectively lose fat. So this is why eating more is going to get you there, and being consistent with those macros. So I'll just show you a little physique update. This is when I just got back from a 6-week trip in Europe, and I was kind of eating whatever I want, obviously out of my routine. It was definitely a bit bloated and put on a little bit of body fat. And here I am now, just about 8 weeks later of being really consistent with my cut, and you can see I have leaned out a lot. And even though I'm cutting, I'm still eating 1960 calories a day, so just under 2,000 calories. 140 grams of protein, 53 grams of fat, and 230 grams of carbs. Now, just because I'm eating that amount doesn't mean that you should be, so please don't copy me. I'm just sharing with you so you have an idea. All right, and now I'm gonna show you everything that I'm eating in a day to get these results. Okay, fam, starting with my breakfast. Always very first thing in the morning, morning, I have a banana with peanut butter and then my coffee, which I have some milk and honey with. Then I usually go to the gym, and then this is my post-workout meal. So the first actual meal of the day is my chocolate banana protein oats. So I'm just measuring out somewhere between 50 to 60 grams of rolled oats, and then I'm going to slice a banana and add that into the oats and measure out about 230 grams of soy milk. That's just the amount I kind of like. It's almost about 1 cup. And then I'm going to pop that into the microwave, let it cook for maybe a minute and a half. And then when I take it out, I'm going to add in 1 scoop of chocolate grass-fed whey protein powder. And then I'm adding in 150 grams of Greek yogurt. So this is going to really help me get my protein up and also get plenty of good quality carbs, which your body really needs after you trained, so that you can replenish your glycogen stores in your body, which is the fuel we store in our muscles from carbohydrates that our body really needs. All right, and then this first meal is going to keep me full for hours, and then it's going to be time for lunch. So here I'm taking these little sourdough bagels, and I always just weigh out how much it is since the weight can vary day to day. And then I'm just going to toast that up, and then I'm going to be scrambling up some eggs. So I'm going to take 45 grams of feta cheese and just chop that into small pieces, and then add 3 eggs into a mug, and then I just whisk it together like that. Spray a pan with olive oil cooking spray, and then I'm going to put the eggs on to cook. And a lot of the time I usually like to add spinach to this as well, but I just didn't have any today. But normally you definitely should be trying to get your greens, get those minerals. And then I'm going to add a little sea salt on top, let that cook up, and then once the bagel's done, I'm going to add on 5 grams of butter and then just 10 grams of ketchup on top of my eggs, and that is my second meal. Okay, so that is my lunch that I've been having every day recently. 3 eggs, 45 grams feta cheese, 10 grams of ketchup on top, a little sourdough bagel, and then 5 grams of butter on that. It's so good. I'm so excited. Okay, so my plan was to make crispy air fryer chicken like I've been making the last few days. This is what it looks like. But then I realized I forgot I didn't have any more chicken in my fridge, and it was too late to go to the store that sells it. So I just went down the road to the little health food store, and they have these pork chops, which I don't really ever make, but I'm just gonna whip together some sort of sauce. We're gonna see how that turns out. And then I already have a bunch of rice prepped because that's what I do. I cook a whole bunch at once, and still have my veggies because I always just de-thaw a whole bunch of veggies at once so I can just grab them and throw them into a dinner. So I'm just gonna make some sort of marinade with this pork chop on the stove with the rice and veggies. So let's see how it goes. Okay, so to make this dinner, I'm just gonna be chopping up the pork chops into small bite-sized pieces, and then I'm adding it onto the pan and gonna measure out a teaspoon of olive oil and sprinkle on some garlic powder. And then I'm gonna be adding in the rest of this kind of random marinade I decided to make, but it actually turned out so delicious, so highly recommend it. I did 1 teaspoon of balsamic vinegar, 1 tablespoon of coconut aminos, which is a soy sauce alternative. You can also use Bragg's liquid aminos or just regular soy sauce if you don't have those, and then 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard. I know maybe it sounds weird, but all those flavors together actually turned out so great. And then I'm just gonna add in a bunch of the veggies that are already de-thawed, let that cook up, and then I'm gonna weigh out my portion of cooked rice, which I already have set to go, and I'm having about 150 grams of rice, and then just letting that all cook together on the stove for a few minutes, and then that's that. So quick and easy and delicious. Okay, fam, so here is the final product. But yeah, this is actually usually the type of dinner I prefer making, just throwing everything together in a pan, just protein, veggie, carb, and then some kind of sauce, just because it's the easiest. It's quick, and you hit all your macros and the least amount of cleanup. So I'm finishing off the day at 229 grams of carbs, which means I'm 2 grams off of my target, 55 grams of fat, which means I'm 2 grams off my fat target, and then 139 grams of protein, so 1 gram under my protein target. All right, Fit Fam, that is everything. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I hope it helped you figure out how much you're supposed to be eating to lose fat, build muscle, and stay that way by getting a fast metabolism and happy hormones. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. I'm more than happy to help you out. And if you would like to have help with all this, if you want me to be able to show you exactly what you should be eating, how much, what to eat, what workouts to do, and keep you accountable by constantly checking in on you, having one-to-one direct contact with me, having me in your pocket really, then check out my one-to-one coaching and see if it's a good fit for you. It's a minimum 4-month commitment, and it's $500 a month. And actually the price is going to be going up in 2023 because I've had such a demand because my clients are so successful by everything that I teach them, which is exactly the same as what I'm showing you in this video here. So if you're interested in getting a personalized strategy, personalized guidance from me, having having me in your back pocket and you want to lock in the price that it currently is, then go ahead, click on the link below to fill out an application, and I will personally reach out to you to see if the program would be a good fit for you. All right, FitFam, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.